Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've only got 3 games here for you guys. It's Thursday night right before the All-Star break. The big slate was last night, where we also did super well. Feeling really good about those player props that we will have up for you today as well. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also head to thelines.com. You can check out all the great written content we're putting up there and use that odds finder tool to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all those bets you're making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's go through this little 3-game slate and then talk about our first game that we're going to talk about, the Clips and Suns.
Yeah, not much props or anything up for this Bucks-Bulls game. -8, Milwaukee at Chicago. Chicago's been wonky, so we're staying away from that one. We are breaking down Wizards +2.5 at the Wolves. Totals at round 235 there. And then this game is a pick'em. Clippers +1 right now at the Suns. Totals 223. The Clips opened as favorites a little bit, but then Norman Powell ruled out. It's actually the first game he's missed in 2 months, and he's been very essential as their third option alongside PG and Kawhi. So that gives me a little bit of pause. Otherwise, I would have been all about the Clips in this spot. I think that what they did at the trade deadline was pretty underrated in terms of just like shipping out the old redundant point guards and bringing in some athleticism and some reliable scoring off the bench in Eric Gordon. And Gordon is part of the reason that I think you can still kind of go with them here, even with Powell out. I think he's going to soak up those minutes, and he looked sharp. I mean, he looked fresh because he wasn't playing much at all with Houston, and for good reason. And he's ready to contribute on a contender and soak up those bench minutes. And Bones Highland also could get hot in that role. But now, the Clippers are going to truly embrace positionless basketball. No point guard on the roster at all. But that didn't hurt their offensive efficiency against, granted, a tired Warriors squad on a back-to-back. But, I mean, just incredible numbers in terms of 33-8 assist-to-turnover ratio, shooting 47% from deep. Kawhi went 7 for 9, had 33 points overall as that kind of point Kawhi role. And the defense is capable of being better with those guys out there, but just still not very efficient at all. In fact, in their last 5, they have a 121 defensive rating, a 122 offensive rating. So their games are averaging about 240 here. And they, on the road here, 240 and 262 at Brooklyn and New York, 2 teams that are one of the slowest paced teams. I mean, Brooklyn without Kyrie, they got the Cam Thomas explosion. So that part contributed to it, sure, but it's an alarming number of points to look at when you see a total of then 223 is why I think maybe the over is more reliable than picking a winner in either one of these. And you look at the recent game log and you might say, oh man, they're going way under. Both teams can D up. The Clips only scored 95 in both meetings with the Suns this season. No PG and Kawhi for one of those. Kawhi was active and not ready to play yet in game 3, played 20 minutes off the bench. He's obviously cooking now. In fact, I mean, Kawhi and PG didn't play in any of the 4 meetings last season as well. And the Clips actually still won 2 of those, but definitely some numbers to indicate that their offense can go up. And then on the Suns side, Devin Booker up to 29 minutes in the Kings game after it seemed he was on a 26-minute restriction. Maybe he plays around 30 here, final game before the break. He's not in the All-Star game, so he gets long layoff after this. And their offense is just much, much better with him out there. 7.7 points per 100 possessions better. In fact, 9 points better per game. And I mean, the pace is a concern, I guess. They are playing pretty slow, both teams, but the efficiency the Clippers are posting and then the inefficiency on the defensive end is why I think this still go over. And the Suns, while they've gone under home or road here, part of that is just where the total's at. But there is some encouragement at home that they shoot much better from 3. Their pace is a little bit faster. and they just haven't had Booker for a lot of these home games. So now, I mean, they got their guy back, and the Clips are going to be playing both of their guys at pretty much a full complement aside from Powell. I think we'll see enough scoring down the stretch, and that's why I do lean Clips because I think Kawhi is a closer right now, and I do like him in player props, maybe more than picking a winner in this one. But I'm hoping that just the efficiency we'll continue to see down the stretch from all these great mid-range players gets over 233.
Yeah, 223. You said
yes.
Yeah, you said 233. That's a big under. That's a big under right there. 223. I mean, I like an over there as well. I just way more than I like trying to pick who's going to win this game. See, I kind of lean Phoenix, to be honest, in terms of the winner, because I also like what they did at the deadline, even though what they did was get maybe the best scoring forward of all time. He's just not playing right now. But just as important is that in that time frame, Chris Paul has come back, Devin Booker has come back, DeAndre Ayton is playing healthy and like really well also. And you know, they're getting some really good contributions from guys like Josh Okogie coming in and stepping up in the last 3 games and being a really, really solid athletic wing player for them that they need. They need, obviously, they just lost that in Mikal Bridges, who dropped 45 for the Nets last night. What an unfair trade, getting Mikal Bridges for Kevin Durant like that. But no, I mean, either way, like in this one, for the pace, look, the Clips go over on the road. I think they got faster and younger by subtraction and the addition of Terrence Mann getting more minutes as well. I also do like the fact that Eric Gordon's in there as a second unit scorer to complement what they didn't have. What they were relying on things like John Wall and at times when Luke Kennard was healthy, those guys who are not there anymore. This is a much more wide open team at this point, and I think you can expect them to continue to play at the style. Let's say maybe it's still a pretty slow pace, but when they have their guys out there and are, you know, all of these guys out there like they did last game, then yeah, you're talking about 134, 124 win over the Dubs, who obviously are not the Suns at home, and the Suns have been going under at home, which scares you a bit because of their defense mostly. I mean, they're actually scoring a few more points at home than they are on the road, but that defense is just incredible at home as well, and they just don't seem to bring it with them when they go out onto the road. So it's also not necessarily the same defensive team that we've seen before, you know, they let go of guys, they got rid of guys like Mikal Bridges at that point in time. And you know, in this one, for the way that you try to stop the Clippers and what they do, I think I love what they did as well. It's opposing forces coming together at the right time where it's going to be a really solid game, I think. And I do think the scoring will be what prevails, but I love what both these teams did enough that with the Clips and the way that they're going to be able to score points now, there's just a little bit more life in this offense over the course of the last, you know, 4 or 5 games, where they went from like basically 113 offensive rating, you know, in the previous weeks to 117 and a half, right? And they're playing still at the same like 97, 98 pace. But like I said, going over at a really high clip on the road this year, 20 and 12 to the over, going over the totals by about 6.5 points as well, where they just seem to sort of open things up a bit more. And obviously the defense is a little bit worse on the road as well, because it's been pretty crazy good at home for the Clippers this season. So it's a good situation for an over on a 3-night slate where neither of us want to figure out which of these really surging teams right now, both going up, are going to win by a point or two. I don't want to have to figure that out. It's flipped from -1 to +2 to -1 to +1. Like, it's just staying right around, hovering a pick 'em, because I do think that's a fair spread. And the fact that, you know, Norman Powell's out sucks for the Clippers. But like I said, they've got Terrence Mann. They've got Eric Gordon back in there now. And by the way, Plum Dog, actually having a center on your backup unit, don't sleep on that. Ask the Nuggets about that, who picked up Thomas Bryant for a damn reason as well. You need to have some backup center minutes to be able to avoid getting out rebounded and just hemorrhaging points when that second unit comes out, and that's what the Clips are going to be able to do now.
Yeah, and he's a reason. I mean, Ayton has struggled in his last 3 against the Clips. Booker has been off and on. He's had some big games and some inefficient games. And I worry a little bit about CP3 being able to carve up a team that is like all 6'5" and over and can also keep him in front of them. So is why I lean towards the Clippers. I just think defensively they got a lot better with these lineup combinations. I mean, you could have just played Terrence Mann in general, Tyronn Lue, but I mean, yeah, I should have mentioned the road home splits. 122 defensive rating since the new year started on the road
Yeah.
for the Clippers. So yeah, that is why you see things like a pace of under 95 possessions against the Warriors and still a total of 258. It's something you don't really see that often. And normally you're scared by the pace. Like, I don't know, it could be a slow game. We only get in the low hundreds, but it hasn't mattered just because they're getting buckets. They rarely turn the ball over, and then defensively there are still some holes. And you can bet on CP3 finding a way to exploit some of those. And as we see Book ascend here in his third game back from injury, kind of vintage Book, 13 for 20 from the floor, didn't attempt a three, and more points than minutes played against a really poor Kings defense, though, is why I guess you're a little reluctant to say that the Suns are totally back and that CP3 is going to carve everybody up again. But I think they will do enough at home to be in this game and match points down the stretch is why, the over seems good.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm banking on CP3 tonight. I do think that he's going to be able to at least get the assists at the rate that he has been, double digits in most of the games he's played in the last couple of weeks in assists. Obviously, that crazy 19 assist explosion the other night where we picked him in player props as well. Might see a repeat of that tonight. And with that, I do think, as good as this Clippers team can be on defense, it's not the same vintage Kawhi lock somebody up, make you scared of him being on the floor type of style that we've seen from him in the past. And I think he knows he's got to leave something in the tank. They do give up more points on the road. They score more points on the road. They give up more assists on the road. I'm more scared of Tyronn Lue being able to figure out a scheme to bottle up CP3, but I just don't think his guys are going to bring it to that level on that side of the ball tonight. I do think both these teams are interested in putting up a lot of points, especially with Booker back, who unlocks something in CP3, the ability to just find somebody who is going to make a bucket if you give him the ball in any kind of right position and space. And that's going to continue to be lethal. Plus, DeAndre Ayton has been rolling really nicely off of that pick and roll with CP3 as well. His points obviously have been up in the last few weeks as well, which is why you see his prop all the way at like 20.5. They expect some points from the big man tonight as well. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Got another game video and our player props that we're looking to finish this week at a ridiculously high clip of success. So until we see you next, happy betting.